Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. So, have you ever just daydreamed about booking a one-way ticket to literally anywhere in the world? With absolutely zero plans? Well, today we're unpacking the sheer, raw thrill and, the inevitable risks of striking out totally on your own. We're drawing directly from the wild experiences of extreme traveler passenger Paramavir. We're going to dive deep into what it truly means to grasp the unscripted, absolute freedom of the solo journey. Let's just get right into it, shall we?
Because, look, true freedom, it starts with completely breaking those rigid itineraries. Extreme traveler passenger Paramare hit the nail on the head. He says, I decide to leave the day before or the same day. One-way ticket, no fixed plans. I mean, wow, that mindset literally strips away all the anxiety of strict schedules. It forces you to just anchor yourself purely in the present moment, which is really the core essence of stepping into the unknown.
Part 1. True Freedom of Solo Travel.
Think about group travel for a second. It usually means dealing with clashing plans, sticking to rigid schedules, and just endless compromises, right? But going solo, that hands you ultimate versatility. You aren't tied down to a consensus. You can instantly adapt to whatever crazy environment you find yourself in. You can seamlessly merge into new groups and just embrace total spontaneity wherever you land. It's, quite frankly, a completely unfiltered way to experience the world.
Section 2. The Risk of Freedom. Congo. But here's the flip side. Absolute freedom also means you're facing some seriously unscripted, terrifying risks entirely on your own. A thrilling adventure can turn into a literal survival situation in the blink of an eye. Take the Democratic Republic of Congo. Paramavir arrives at Goma Airport, only to be immediately extorted by the local military. They're asking for money, for magazines, which is basically paying a bribe just to ensure his own safety. He pays them off, manages to get out. But get this, just 40 hours later, M23 rebels hijack that exact same airport. One tiny delay and the outcome could have been absolutely disastrous.
I mean, just imagine relying purely on a handwritten boarding pass to escape an active conflict zone. No computers, no digital scanners, just pure survival in a fragile state, where your actual life depends on a paper ledger and whatever pocket change you happen to have on hand. It's the ultimate test of vulnerability, when all the modern infrastructure we're used to just completely vanishes.
Section 3. The World's Most Remote Islands.
250. Just 250. That is the total number of tourists that visit the tiny Pacific nation of Tuvalu in an entire year. To put that staggering isolation into perspective for a second, a local neighborhood fair in India sees vastly more people in a single afternoon. When you travel here, you are truly, completely off the grid.
And the reality of surviving in that kind of extreme isolation is just wild. Tuvalu has a population of only 11,000 people, and the entire country is barely 200 meters wide. Actually, it's so remote that flights routinely just drop passenger luggage to meet strict fuel weight limits. So you might arrive with absolutely nothing but the clothes on your back. And the local culture is just as unique. When there isn't a plane landing, the main airport runway literally doubles as the community sports field. How crazy is that?
So it makes you wonder, who helps you when you're stranded in completely unknown, far-off countries where things inevitably go wrong? When you don't speak the language and you have zero safety net? That absolute freedom we talked about, it can suddenly feel incredibly lonely.
Section 4. Desi Friends on Unknown Paths.
Picture this. It's 11 p.m. in Panama. You speak no Spanish, you have zero cell signal, and all the shops are shut down for the night. And then, out of nowhere, a lifesaver steps in. For Paramavir, it was a Gujarati stranger named Janil who found him wandering near a taxi stand and guided him safely through the city. It goes to show that solo travel doesn't necessarily mean being completely alone, especially when you have a deeply connected global diaspora ready to help a fellow traveler out in a pinch.
Because honestly, the world is wonderfully small. Thousands of miles away in Fiji, Paramavir stops at a remote dhaba for a meal, only to hear a familiar voice call his name. It was literally his former college cafe chef from Delhi University. No way, right? Running into a familiar face in the middle of the Pacific Ocean just proves that the connections we make at home can unexpectedly follow us to the very edges of the map.
And this perfectly illustrates India's soft power. It's this massive global influence of our culture, our cinema, our diaspora that creates a remarkably welcoming environment for travelers worldwide. Cultural exports like Bollywood act almost like a magical protective force. Even at super strict military checkpoints in war-torn Syria, soldiers wave Indian travelers through with a smile simply because they're from Shah Rukh Khan's country. It's a real game changer.
Section 5. The Untouched Beauty of India.
You know, after wandering the globe, seeing the rest of the world can profoundly shift how you view your own backyard. As one global traveler realized, the vivid green of Zero Valley in Arunachal Pradesh and Lightulum in Meghalaya absolutely rivals the famous Swiss and French Alps. There is simply no match. Our own untouched landscapes stand toe-to-toe with Europe's most famous, heavily marketed destinations.
Yet, we do face a pretty stark contrast between our immense tourism potential and the current reality. Looking at this objectively, on one hand, we possess unmatched landscapes, an incredibly rich history, and huge cultural diversity. But on the other hand, things like poor urban planning, severe safety perception issues, and completely saturated tourist hubs really hold us back from being a top-tier global destination.
So to fix this tourism engine, there are some highly specific, actionable steps required. First off, we've got to communicate safety clearly to global tourists and prioritize visible policing in major tourist hubs. We also need to build and aggressively market luxury tourism brands. I mean, if the Masai Mara can guarantee world-class high-end safaris, Ranthambore for sure can do the exact same thing. And crucially, we need to expand aggressively beyond heavily saturated spots like Goa and actively showcase our hidden gems to the rest of the world.
Absolute freedom, unscripted risk, remote isolation, and the untouched beauty of home. A solo journey strips away the noise, breaks down your personal barriers, and introduces you, not just to the world, but to humanity itself. So, let me ask you this. If you had a one-way ticket in your hand right this second, with absolutely zero plans, where would your solo trip take you? Something to chew on. Keep exploring, stay curious, and thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.